And now we go over to ITN in London for the morning news.
Flu epidemic worsens, hospitals may close their doors. Good morning, it's 5 o'clock on Monday the 11th of December and you're watching the early morning news from ITN. The headlines. Hospitals, schools and many places of work are likely to be badly affected as the flu epidemic claims more and more victims. Alexander Dubček says he will accept, if offered, the presidency of Czechoslovakia. Václav Havel is another candidate. And the repatriation of Vietnamese boat people from Hong Kong is now thought to be imminent. Later in the programme, the pop video campaigning to save the environment of Thailand, a report in our world news. And on American television, the fight in Peru against the deadly crop that produces cocaine. But first, the main stories. Hospitals in London are this morning facing the possibility of banning all non-emergency admissions as the flu epidemic hits staffing levels. The outbreak is causing problems in businesses throughout Britain. Thousands of workers are expected to call in sick today, and the number of victims continues to rise.
The ban on non-emergency admissions is faced by hospitals today in the south and east of London. It's the first time that red alert has been considered since the epidemic in 1975. Its imposition is a last resort, but recent admissions were 40% higher in London, many of them flu victims, some with complications like pneumonia. GPs are finding it difficult to cope with the sheer numbers of patients suffering from English flu. All the children in this family have it, along with their pregnant mother.
We've got a few problems at the moment because, of course, nursing staff are ill at the hospital as well as doctors. And I'm trying to run things in general practice at the moment, rather than sending people into hospital, if I possibly can.
Chemists are stocking up on flu remedies, but the drug companies are warning vaccine supplies are limited. Many schools could be forced to close because teachers are off sick.
Quite a few of the children within the school have been going down with it. In my class of 30, I've had the children down to about 18 in the class, so being a teacher, you're prone to picking up most of the viruses that are going around.
Businesses are worried that this morning thousands will be off work as the epidemic continues its progress across the country.
500,000 people took to the streets of Czechoslovakia celebrating the end of 41 years of communist rule. Playwright Václav Havel is likely to become the new president, although former leader Alexander Dubček says he'd accept the office if it was offered.
Long live Havel! Havel for president was the chant. Finally, he was able to reveal that the new deputy prime minister would be Jan Czarnogórski, until recently a jailed dissident. As the crowd demonstrated their approval across the city, there was an ironic scene as Czarnogórski, former political prisoner, was sworn into office by outgoing President Husak, figurehead of the regime that once jailed him. 21 years ago, the hopes of these people were crushed by Soviet tanks. For more than 40 years, they've lived in fear of the party and its secret police. Today, they were granted their wish for a new start.
President Gorbachev has warned the Soviet Communist Party that it must quickly solve the country's problems or risk losing power. In Moscow, the radical group, the Democratic Union, held an illegal demonstration. Provoked by posters comparing Gorbachev to Stalin, the KGB moved in. The ringleaders were taken away to buses. The protest was eventually broken up when riot police pushed the protesters into a subway station. Labour's Foreign Affairs spokesman George Fuchs has attacked government plans to force thousands of Vietnamese boat people to return home from Hong Kong. The Foreign Office still hasn't confirmed whether a timetable exists for sending the people back.
Tension in the Hong Kong camps is rising as time runs out for the refugees. A man died and 3 were injured in a fight at one of the detention centres early today. Labour say the government should reverse its decision to send 40,000 refugees back to Vietnam.
So it's just an unwise and heartless proposal. And I'm absolutely certain that when pictures of young children and women being forced onto boats or planes at the point of a gun are beamed into the sitting rooms of every country of the world, then there will be an understandable outcry and outrage, and the British government will have to think again.
There's no comment from the Foreign Office on reports that repatriation might begin as soon as next week.
Scotland Yard has confirmed that detectives are investigating a burglary at the Treasury. It's believed burglars entered several offices last week while the building was empty and forced open locked filing cabinets. No secret papers are thought to have been stolen, but police are concerned the documents may have been photographed and proofs of coins potentially valuable to forgers or collectors may have been taken. The young homeless in Hull have inspired the launch of a national charity housing scheme by going into the property business. The Gyroscope self-help group borrowed money to start renovating derelict houses to rent to homeless teenagers. They're now providing homes for 30 young people. The charity behind Comic Relief was so impressed it's put up £250,000 to help Britain's homeless youngsters. The luck of the Irish landed in County Galway with a record payout in the Irish National Lottery. 21-year-old Philomena Conneely won £2 million on a 50p stake. Celebrating with tea rather than champagne, she said she was likely to buy a tractor, not a Rolls.
Don't see many Rolls Royces around.
No,
so.
I think it'll look kind of out of place if I bought one. No, I don't like them anyway. They're too flashy.
Oh.
There we take a break. In a moment, the world news, which includes a report on a pop video campaign in Thailand aimed at protecting the environment. Stay with us.